Welcome back to another edition of Talk Nerdy to Me. Got Troy here, and I have another special guest again. You probably recognize him. He's been on our a couple times. It's Mr. HH. How you doing, sir?
Very good, sir. Thank you once again for having me and Sigma Comics ready at the ready.
At the ready, just like Hector.
That's exactly right. We have issue 6 has just been deployed to the masses, so we're ready to talk about issue 6 of Here Comes Calico.
Yes, we are. Let me just so everybody knows where's it at. Here we go. I will share this to the screen.
Oh yeah,
Funded.
yep,
It was Calico number 6. Funded. There it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
And stop sharing there. And I got I guess I got a sneak early copy of it. And man, I don't even know what to say. I, I will say this though. I think this is probably the first comic book where I've actually seen a detailed picture of feces drawn on the page. And we'll just leave it at that. Let everybody's imagination run because I
That's
saw
it.
that. I had to go back and read it again. I was like, yeah, I think that's exactly what it is.
Listen, we don't pull punches and among other things. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, okay, sick. And you're still looking at just 8 issues, right?
that's exactly right. As I mentioned in the previous episode here, we have a double issue for the last one. So issue 8 will be a double issue. So no need to fret. We do have quite a bit of story left to tell, but we've got quite a few pages left. So
Yeah, I'm thinking number 8's probably gonna be omnibus size because man, I don't know how you're gonna tie this up. It's we get reintroduced to a few of the characters we hadn't seen in a while,
right,
and one new, I think just one new one. No, actually two new ones if you want to count. I I think there was, I think there was a bit of foreshadowing. I may be wrong.
right,
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and when Hector was training in the gym,
right,
um, there was an awful lot of attention paid to the guy he was sparring with. So
right.
I'm thinking we're probably going to see. I mean, you don't have to tell me, but I'm thinking we're going to see this guy again.
Well, and we have seen him. Alpha is the fellow that sort of Hector coins him as Alpha, and he's sort
Right.
of like, it's every boxing gym has an Alpha, and there's a pecking order in the boxing gym. So I think Alpha makes his appearance in issue 3. That's really the first time the public sees Alpha. He's just, he's in the background there, but we do focus on him for a couple of panels in issue 3, and he's the guy that runs the show there in Hector's, weight class. So, typically the way it works in a boxing gym, in a real boxing gym, and by real I mean a professional boxing gym, you have 3 main weight classes: lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. And every boxing gym has the rooster of the henhouse in that division. So when you walk in, there is a very, very distinct pecking order. And you sort of know where you fit in that pecking order. And Hector, implies that in issue 3 about sort of where he is in that pecking order. So
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he was in the background on 3, but he's pretty much in the forefront on a few pages. So
oh yeah, that's for sure. Absolutely.
yeah, I'm waiting to see how he's gonna be introduced into the story. Because to pay that much attention to one character, I'm thinking he's gonna pop up somewhere down the line.
Oh, and definitely on that one, no comment. But
Yeah, like I said, you don't have to say yay or nay, but that's my prediction.
yeah,
Uh, we
yeah,
also see a couple other older characters. We got my boy Kingman.
yep,
Love that
absolutely,
dude.
yep, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely love that guy. I don't think it was shown on screen, but they mentioned Fang. Um,
Yes, yeah. Thing
and we
is
see,
around.
yeah, and we see the mobster guy. I can't remember his name, but
ODB is ODB's.
ODB. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
he's sort of he's got his tentacles into everything on the street, and one of the things he has his tentacles in is uh, the animal. industry on many different criminal levels, right? So the
Oh
big
yeah.
player, the big player who, as you pointed out, also makes a reappearance in this issue is Sarah Bigmman, and Bigman Food Corporation is indicated or referred to in issue 2. That's really the first time the public learns about Sarah Bigmman and her food corporation, because there's a there's a big protest that's happening on DogMomma and Hector's screen, and she's sort of telling him about the different people who are on the pinup gallery. Sarah Bigmman is chief among them, because that corporation's been causing millions of deaths every year of animals, in many cases, in a very criminal way. It's not just slaughtering the animals; they're doing actually terrible things to those animals, and that's where ODB comes in, because you can make a lot of money. It might be amazing to you guys in the crowd here, and yourself as well, Troy, but it's not just about killing the animal for consumption. You can make a lot of money on animal death, right? You could do gambling for fighting. You could do, unfortunately, this is a thing, pornography, bestiality. That's like a million, multi-million dollar business. And then you have trafficking. There's a lot of trafficking of animals in and around different borders around the country. So you can bring in narcotics, and it's incredibly, it's nefarious stuff. There's so many ways that you can, unfortunately, corrupt and pervert, animals. And this asshole, you have to bleep that out or something. He's knee deep into it. He's making millions of dollars every year, and it's because of Sarah Bigmman, who's allowing him to feed into those markets, and he's just making money left and right. This guy, ODB. So,
Well, like I said, Hector meets out a little justice to not just the guys, the torturing guys, but he has a run in with Bigman.
oh yeah,
Run in.
oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
what I like about Hector is he doesn't just he doesn't just take them out. It's always some kind of poetic ending with
Right,
these guys. And
right. Well said, Troy. Well
yeah,
said.
same thing with her. I mean, with the dog fighting ring, he let the dogs at the guy.
Right, right,
This is
right,
reminiscent of that.
right.
Yeah, like I said, if you guys don't like gore or you're a little queasy, you might want to skip over some of these pages because he does take them out. But this is the first time I've seen Hector in not the first time, in a couple issues where they've taken him to task. He's been close to being taken down
Right.
more than once in this.
Another good point, Troy, because this is why we get a lot of comparisons to Daredevil and Batman. This guy's not super powered, and we make it very clear. We remind the readers on a regular basis, Calico is not a superhero. He's just a regular guy who throws on a super suit, and he's just as at risk as of anyone else out there, except for his suit does allow him to take it a little bit further on the sort of superhuman scale, but not by much. So he's definitely at the mercy of nature.
Yeah, I have a feeling a chiropractor is in his future because he gets worked over pretty good in this
Right.
issue.
Right.
And he has his, I don't want to say unveiling, but the public is kind of aware of him at the end of this issue.
Right.
So it's almost like, the end of Iron Man when, Tony Stark came out and he said, "Hey, I'm Iron Man." It's pretty close to that type of a reveal.
Right.
Without showing his face. But yeah, I saw that, and and then he realizes he has the public's backing. So I'm waiting to see where he goes with that.
Right. It's we wanted to work in the audience as well in this issue because they're a big part of the series, and frankly, we can't do it without them. And it's just to say that the Calico is a man of the people. Even though, as you know, he's not the biggest fan of people. he gets an interaction with them, and you sort of see a moment, kind of emotional moment there towards the end of how basically he deals with that. It's very awkward for him because he's not the most social people person. So, but he realizes that he's not alone in. I mean, he knows he's not alone in his fight against animal abuse. There are other people who love animals. It's just he doesn't realize the magnitude of how many people actually appreciate what he's doing. So,
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this next question. Like I said, in the first 6 issues, we're introduced to a boatload of characters, and I'm just through storytelling, I know you don't introduce a character that's not going to be used.
right.
So are we going to see some of these other guys return? Like the wrestler guys, the jiggler, all these cool characters. They're in one issue, and then you kind of go on and introduce some more characters, hoping I guess that we forget about them. So are they? If you can tell me, if not, that's fine.
Sure.
Are we going to see a lot of these guys come back
Yeah.
and
What I could say is that some of them will, some of them won't. I can tell you, for instance, Kingman, who makes a very pivotal appearance in this issue. I mean, he's the man with the master plan, and it's pretty clear at this point to the reader that he's not someone who's just in the periphery, right? So he's someone who makes a very bold, takes a very bold stance here in this issue. And I love for those of you who aren't reading the series, you really have to get your hands on Here Comes Calico, because you're going to love the series. But it's not just Hector the Calico. It's a lot of rich characters like Kingman. And this issue is really case in point. Kingman comes in, and you really get to see the intricacy of what Kingman, of his participation in this story. And it's just going to ramp up even more. If you think, if you think his appearance is accentuated here, this is nothing yet. I mean, it's something really special that's happening with Kingman. So
he's got his hands in some nefarious stuff that's not related to the animal stuff. I mean,
right,
he like you said, he's running a big section of New York there.
right,
I just and like you said, another thing. I mean, if you guys haven't been reading this series, you can go on your guys' website. There was a Sigma Comics
right,
and buy all the way up to issue 6 now and get
right,
caught up, because it's not just for me anyway. It's not just the animal justice part of it.
right, right,
You're also giving for me, you're giving a voice to a bunch of different sections of the community that have been on the periphery, like you said. I mean, because Kingman, he's got Down syndrome, but dude,
right.
he's running stuff.
Oh yeah,
You got the little people gang.
right,
They're
right,
doing some damage up in there. You got the Jiggler. He's got some mental issues, but he's
right,
a really prominent character. So I think you're giving a voice to these characters that were typically before, they were kind of tertiary type characters that weren't really protagonists or antagonists in stories. And in this one, man, these guys are just as dangerous as anybody else, which is
right,
how it is in real life. So I like that realism.
right. Um, as I hear you say that, Troy, I remember when I was a kid. I'm a Gen Xer, and I think Troy, you are a Gen Xer too. And
Yep.
when I was a kid, I don't know if you remember this, Troy, but when we were kids, there was a show. I think it was on CBS. It was like a made-for-TV movie. It was called Night of the Scarecrow, something like that. And do you
Yeah.
remember that? And
Oh,
it
yeah.
was, starts out with this simple guy. He's probably in his late 30s, early 40s, and he doesn't have, his facilities. He definitely has some, intellectual, mental challenges, and which is to say, he's probably on the disabled spectrum there. But he's a very loving person, and something happens where, because he's so gentle, he attracts children, and he does better with children. and I guess something happens to a little girl in the town, or she disappears or something like that, and he's blamed for as being the person who, who did something evil to her, because he's hanging out with little children. And of course the town gets together, and they, they basically do a very bad thing to him, despite the fact that the sheriff and the cops are saying, hey, listen, we don't have any evidence yet. The town folk some of the town folk sort of take into their own hands. I would say this is a similar type of situation where you have key pivotal characters who are not, they're sort of, as you mentioned, tertiary, society, socially. And that's the same thing with Night of the Scarecrow. Here we have a very prominently placed character who you wouldn't necessarily have in the forefront of a story. And in that capacity, we're doing something very different, as you pointed out. And we're also telling a very powerful story around, the fight against animal abuse, with a really sort of intense character there. So, like I said, for those of you who aren't reading the series, you really have to get this. It's really good. We're getting a lot of wonderful reviews, and I'm very appreciative to all the people who are helping us on this. So we see a lot of good things for this series.
And I go to a lot of cons, and I seem to run into you at more than just a handful of them.
Right.
So what's your? I mean, the con season is kind of wrapping down, but what's your? Do you have a schedule for next year yet, where maybe some people come out and meet you?
Yeah.
Copy, get it signed or something.
Yeah, we would have had. I guess. Well, this weekend there's a last show, Big Apple Comic Con, and I think this would have been show number 46 of this year. 45 or 46, if I'm not mistaken. So we got around this year, Troy, as you pointed out. Next year it'll be more of the same, but the schedule won't be as intense. I think we'll probably do something like maybe 40 shows. Still a lot, but a little less than last year. And it's because we've pared it down to the shows that we know we want to do. So yeah, absolutely, we'll be at all the shows, the big major ones. I think I saw you at Denver Fan Expo. We'll be there again this next upcoming year to 2023. We will be at all the big shows. HeroCon. We'll be at MegaCon. We'll be at Comic-Con, of course, in San Diego. So I think the only big show that we won't be doing next year is Emerald City, and that's just because it's a little too much of a trek for us for that time of the year. But otherwise, we're doing all the big shows. Absolutely.
Yeah, and like I said, for people that haven't read it, you take boatloads of books to these shows, but you always come back empty-handed. So
Right.
people are buying them. I mean,
every time.
Yeah.
Every time, Troy, and that's just one additional thing I'll say to the shows. We sell out every show we go to. I think I mentioned last time that we're trying to work. We actually, to this day, believe it or not, we don't have a distribution deal, but we're working on it right now for the first time in our 2-year history. We'll be 2 years now, I guess, this month, and it's great because we've been able to give the product right into the hands of our fan base, and there's nothing like that. And we've had now 2 years experience in doing that. So we wanted to make sure we had a good, stable, firm footing before we approached a distributor. We know for a fact now that our product does very well. It's not a matter now of well, if it's going to sell well. We did a case study right here. Troy, I have a deli down the block, and my MO is Monday I'm coming back from another city. Sunday night, I should say, sometimes Monday morning, and I'll stop and get like a bagel or something at the store. And the guy's like, "Oh, you do another show? Hey, yeah, okay. Well, how did it go?" And I said, "Oh, it went well. You know what? How about I drop some comics at your store here, because you see me every Monday. This is a deli." And he's like, "Yeah, you know what? You've been selling out. Let's try it here at the deli." Troy, we've sold out every weekend. I drop off 25 comics. 5 issues of each title. So right now on the sheet we have issue 5. So 5 issues of number 1 through 5. So that's 25 comics. Every Monday it's sold out. I come back, and that's now a month and a half. Every Monday I drop 25 comics at the deli of all places. Sells out there, and that's really that along with every weekend selling out. I mean, this thing's just gonna, you put it anywhere, it's gonna sell, and that's what we're telling now the distributor that we're working with, that we're hopefully going to be working with moving forward. They're still evaluating our application, but it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when can we get those things in the stores, in all the comic book shops, and we're going to have a team following up with all the stores so that they know how to sell this thing. It's not enough to just put it in the back of Indie and in the bottom shelf. You really have to give this thing a prominent fixture at the store, and it's going to do really, really well, especially at the price point. It's going to do well.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. It sells out at the deli. It's such a good book. I mean, the name alone, and then you see the suit. It's and then when people actually figure out what it is, there's so many animal lovers out there. Once they
Right.
figure it out, and they read this, there's not another book out there that I know of like
Right.
this. So I'm not surprised at all.
Right. I spoke to the guy from God, what's the name? Stray Dogs. Yeah.
Tony
I
Creeks?
finally spoke to him because everybody's been telling me to speak to him because we're at the same shows every weekend, and I finally spoke to him. Not the was it the writer? I think and I don't know if it's Tone Rodriguez. I think there's another guy, one of those guys. I know it's one of the 2 guys that works on that book. And I spoke to him. We had a good conversation. And I picked up his book, The Stray Dogs. And people saying, "Oh yeah, it's kind of like that." I said, "Oh man, this is like maybe a different perspective." It's not. It's definitely not.
Stray Dogs is heartbreaking.
Right. Right. It's
and Calico is more hopeful.
right. Way more satisfying. Right. Yeah. The Calico. Right. Here Comes Calico is on a different end of that story. So
yeah.
Yeah, we give a lot, like you said, we give a lot of people a lot of hope with the Calico. So
no doubt about that. So like I said, got fully kickstarted. I'm guessing here you'll be starting the Kickstarter for number 7 soon then, right?
Very soon, very soon. No more waiting, 3 months. We're going to be at this within less than a month. We'll be at for number 7 again.
So by the time you guys watch it, start going to Kickstarter and looking for Here Comes Calico number 7 and back it so we can get this thing funded quick and out here because I want to see that issue number 8. I got to see it.
It's going to be a beautiful issue. Troy, let me tell you something. I just saw the preliminary sketches for the cover for issue 8. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. These covers have been jaw-dropping, each one of them. But it's sort of like...
show the cover for number 6? Is that going to be okay?
Oh, go ahead, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what he's talking about right there. This isn't some crappy artwork, stick figure type stuff. Look at that. The detail.
Yeah.
Dude, that suit is just amazing. And it took me a couple issues to figure out with his name Calico. It's actually different colors on the suit.
Right.
Kind of like a calico cat. It took me like 2 or 3 issues to figure that out. I was like, oh man, how did I miss that? But yeah, and not just the detail on the covers, the interiors are really good as well. So it's not crappy artwork. It's not a crappy story. It's just it's good all the way around. I'm just waiting for the right set of eyes to see it because as soon as they do this, I think this is going to be a big hit for you guys. It's already a big hit, but I think it's going to be more mainstream once the right set of eyes get it.
Right. Grassroots wise, it frankly already is. Just a slight little tidbit story here quickly. We went to Comic-Con this year, San Diego. We got approved first year, first time ever, first time we applied. And we were in that small press aisle, which we will be again next year. And I was told by our neighbor, who's been in comics for over 20 years, that we sold more comics than every other comic book in small press, including 2 really big names that everybody knows, like in the indie space, that have Kickstarters that are 6 figures, that are in the 6 figures. Again, we barely, we're a small, shop that's less than 2 years old. and we're outselling big names in the indies. So I didn't even know who these people were, and we sold them out left and right. And apparently there was some contention because they were getting a little upset that everybody was coming buying our comics. So sorry about that, guys.
Don't be sorry. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, like I said, guys, go to Sigma Comics online, or if your local shop's carrying it, go there. If they're not carrying it, shame on them.
Yeah.
Tell them to start carrying it. And if not, get them online. The first 5 and 6, I'm sure will be up here soon.
Yep.
Get caught up because 7 and 8, it's going to hit that proverbial fan. I see it coming. So I'm waiting. All these great characters going to be just mashed together, and it's going to be, this ending is going to be bloody, I'm sure.
It's gonna be big. Gonna be big.
Very, very cool.
Yep.
Okay, well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me about this.
Yep.
And like I said, guys, go get it and start looking for that Kickstarter for number 7.
Happy holidays to everybody. Want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and enjoy the holidays, happy and healthy.
Yeah, and be nice to your pets.
That's right.
All right, thanks, HH.
You got it. Thank you.